Scams are all around us, but how do you know it's a scam?
You have the same chance to have what I have. Don't sell yourself short.
A guy's sitting there right now watching this, and I got my last grand, dude, and I got Christmas coming. Should he spend it on this?
Absolutely.
I would tell you the same.
Tom Fu, Grant Cardone, Chris Crone, extended car warranties, In-N-Out fries, pickles. Don't lose your money. Go to Whataburger and let's talk about how to avoid real estate scams.
Bing bong.
Nice flippin' choice. What's up, you scam avoiding soldiers? It's Garrett Brown from the Nice Flippin' Choice channel, back from the future with another real estate video that will help you vitally in your career. How to avoid scams. No, I'm not talking about the fact that Arby's is a money laundering type scam. I'm talking about real estate scams, particularly when you're going to buy a place or invest in a new place. Now, Rocket Mortgage released the 7 top real estate scams not long ago. And while that is quite ironic that Rocket Mortgage is releasing a list of scams when they are probably about as dependable as having your toddler drive you to the bar on a Friday night.
But that's a whole nother story.
Now we can follow along. I will put the link to the article in the description, and we can have a little walkthrough session. Now, while there are more and more scams out there in all types of life, this can give you some good info on what to avoid and what are some red flags to look for, not only in your dating life.
I'm not trying to be sexy, man.
Listen all the way through and I'll give you the ultimate trick never to fall victim to any of this. And before we even go any further, I just want to say, last one to say what? Subscribe to the other one? What? Subscribe. Now, according to the FBI in this report, over 13,000 people get scammed every single year in real estate. I'm not really sure why the FBI is handling these real estate scam statistics,
but I'll just roll with it.
Now, they list 4 different red flags that should be automatically avoided. Or if you see any of these little red flags pop up and there's any kind of desire for you not to really go through with the transaction, you probably should get it looked at by some type of professional if you're doing this by yourself, which I highly don't recommend. The first major red flag is lack of proper documentation. Now, there's a very high chance that you don't even know what type of documentation will be needed in type of home buying or investment that you're making. If you do know, then kudos to you. I hope you're actually right on that. But if you don't be afraid to work with a realtor or real estate agent.
I think I'd like to sell my property.
Oh,
Really? That's great. Hey,
yeah, we're
where's
just
my
like
house? Move, get. That's a very smart idea.
If you're on the buying retail side, there's a pretty high chance that you're not gonna have to pay for the buyer's agent being involved in the transaction. They will look out for your best needs. If you're on the investment side, it becomes a little more fickle sometimes to get that extra buyer's agent added on. You might have to pay it out of pocket as a finder's fee, but if you find a great deal through an agent and you don't know what you're doing, they're gonna save you a ton of money in the end. If there's very, very simple documents involved and you look at it and you can tell that something's not quite right with such a big purchase as a real estate transaction, then you probably should get someone to look over it. Don't be afraid to reach out to a real estate attorney, all these other types of people that could be involved with these contracts. In Texas, we have title companies as well. The next thing is pressure to act immediately. There might be some pressure to act on it, saying there's other people coming in. Now, if you're renting a place or using an investment place, there might be some pressure on you to get a deal done fast for different reasons because people want to move these things quickly. But if you're just in a simple buying phase of something of retail only value that you're probably going to live in with your family or something like that, then there shouldn't be a whole lot of pressure to act immediately. Once again, if you have a real estate agent, you'll know the correct timelines. Usually it's about 30 to 45 days when a place takes to close. If you are pre-approved by the lender already, that's usually the thing that takes a while. And the last 2 things they mention is unrealistic guarantees and demands to wire money. If it sounds too good to be true and you've been looking at houses in this area and they're all been $300,000 and this randomly pops up at $125,000, there's definitely something up. I'm willing to put every last bit of the $922 in my checking account right now into a bet and let it ride. You gotta know when to hold them, know when to fold. And yeah, and if they're demanding to wire money and a title company is not involved, like a legit title company or, real estate attorney or whatever else is in different states, like I said, I'm in Texas, there's a pretty big issue going on because title companies are usually the only people dealing with money. You're not gonna wire money to the seller or anything like that or some other agent. That just doesn't happen. There's a lot of breaches going on with that. Breaches. Now, the first of the top 7 real estate scams going on is wire fraud. This is what I kind of touched on the last part really quickly, but use a specific specific title company, and make sure a lot of your communication is calling whenever you're doing the final wire of some kind of money to confirm instructions and other things like that. Some people have been able to find out ways to, I think it's phishing of email. I'm obviously not a hacker myself. I think they call it phishing. It could be another term, but this is when people can see when emails are going out between people somehow. And if the word wire or money or deposit or anything like that pops up, they might make a similar email like the title company and be able to trick you into thinking this is where you send the money. It's kind of a weird, complicated scam, so I'm not going to probably go into it because I personally don't even understand it, but it's pretty rampant throughout. I've had a lot of title companies tell me that they've, to watch out for these things. We always call to confirm instructions if we're wiring any money, or we'll go to the direct place and get it if it's nearby or something like that. Always call to confirm. Get the email initially, call them to say, hey, did you send this email? Did you send this email? The next one is foreclosure relief. They covered this one pretty well in the article, so you can check it out if you want to. But the main highlights of this is never pay for a service that's not been complete, and always research the company that is helping you. Make sure they're 100% legit. Call a few people if you have to. Just be wary when you're dealing with anything with foreclosure. The next one is the loan flipping scam. This is a pretty sad one because it usually targets elderly people quite a bit because they don't understand a lot of times when some slick city slicker work with a qualified lender, interview a couple different lenders. Don't ever roll with somebody that's just coming to your house, calling you randomly about a refinance or something like that. Just be cautious. Wow. Let me get some water. Causage.
Sausage? What is that?
Just be cautious anytime you're dealing with anything. If you have elderly parents or an elderly friend or anything like that, try to look out for them and let them know not to do anything like that without you looking it over and seeing what exactly is going on. Now, the next one they mention is commercial real estate scams. This one is when you need to be super cautious in case you run any type of business or anything like that. Have an accountant, have multiple checks and balances, have noteworthy property managers if you're not able to manage it yourself. Have a few different hoops that have to be jumped through to make sure a lot of different people are having eyes on things that may need to be overlooked if you're having any worries about rent coming in and you not being paid the full rent and other things like that. There's a lot of things that could be messed up, but if you work with as reputable of a company, one that has good references and things like that, no matter whatever kind of business you're doing, you'll be okay. The next one they mention is inspection scams. This is when you buy a new place or you're getting a home inspection on it. I haven't heard of this happen too much, but I am a realtor, so I know tons of great inspection companies that are 100% legit, and we always get an inspection on a residential buy. Investment properties, not as much, depends on how much work we're thinking anyways. Work with qualified inspectors. This is another reason why you should work with a real estate agent or a realtor, and you can feel free to ask them if they have a license number, other things like that if you are talking to some different inspectors to see who actually can do these types of inspections in homes. Now, the last two are the most rampant that I have seen personally in my 6 years of real estate. The first one is rental scams. If there's a place that popped up on Zillow or something like that for sale, and usually they're $2,000 rent, and this one is $900, it's probably too good to be true. Never give money to anybody without you personally seeing the place in person. Double check property records all over if you can. If you have the address, search it on Google, look into a couple different things. And this is, once again, another reason to work with an agent. There's not as many agents out there that will work on some leases, but there are some newer and more hungry agents that probably will take some of these. There's not a huge commission that goes to agents most of the time. Some of them don't even have a commission, but a newer agent that has access to a lot of databases and broker support could be somebody that you could work with that y'all both can get some experience on, and they might be able to get a little bit out of it. You don't have to pay them anything. It usually comes out of the seller's pocket or the landlord's pocket. And this is one way to make sure you avoid rental scams. But without a doubt, never send money to anybody without seeing the place in person and verifying it's the one that you're looking at online. Now, the last one is title scams. This is very rampant as well too. It kind of goes into the loan scams and things like that. Always double check with what you're signing. Work with qualified professionals, real estate attorneys, realtors, title companies, all those things like that. Don't end up in a scam where you're selling a piece of your land and you didn't even realize it, or you think you're buying onto a piece of land and you don't even know what it is. If you're getting a loan, you're gonna need surveys. You're gonna need all these different types of things. That's why it's good to work with professionals, because they're gonna be able to tell you what exactly are the steps to do a legit home purchase to somewhere you will not get scammed. Now, I probably don't even have to tell you by now what my last major tip is to avoid all of these scams, and that is work with a real estate agent or realtor.
First listing is a Danish modern owned by a super rich pet dentist.
I know a lot of us get really bad raps, even though I'm not a super active real estate agent or realtor. I only do a few transactions a year. I really have it for just my investment side and to help out family and friends and a lot of different things that I do. There's a lot of really cool realtors out there, and they're usually free on the buyer side. For most part, they are going to save you money no matter how it usually plays out. We have access to data that you would never imagine sometimes. We can look up a ton of things. We're usually within the know of what may be happening. We know contractors, we know plumbers, we know repairmen, we know a lot of different things that you probably don't even realize you're going to end up needing. You don't do this full time. Find an agent that does this full time, but there are some really kick-ass agents out there. So that is my big tip to leave you with. Keep all your personal info secure and you'll be all right in this real estate game. Till next time. Peace.